Before the Civil War, America's energy needs were met mainly by water and wood. But a rapidly growing nation soon turned to another source, and the rush was on to mine and market coal. This is the story of one coal field, its product called the best in the world, and its people, their memories of the past, and their feelings toward the future. This is Pocahontas, a family portrait. In 1881, a stranger on horseback came to a remote place in Virginia, near the southern tip of West Virginia, to inspect a 12-foot outcropping of fine coal. Frederick Kimball stayed at the home of Squire Moore, great-grandfather of Bluefield businessman Bob Moore.
But it was just a virtual, it was just a wilderness, an impenetrable laurel thicket down where the town was built. And it was, there were probably no more than 3 or 4 families in that whole area.
2 years later, Kimball was president of the Norfolk and Western, and the young railway was breaking through the wilderness, reaching the rich vein of coal. The first mine and town, and the coal field they spawned, were named for the Indian princess Pocahontas. The rails pushed on into the rugged hills of southern West Virginia. Mill Creek, Keystone, Lick Branch, and other mines opened. Coke ovens dotted the hillsides of Mercer, McDowell, and Wyoming counties. And new towns sprung up. Many of the owners settled in Bramall. The ginseng farms of Welch gave way to new activity, and Higginbotham's farm was renamed for the cornflowers that tinted the valley blue. Bramall became known as the home of the millionaires. Welch became the production center of the coal field. Bluefield developed as the financial and legal headquarters and the home of suppliers and operators. And Pocahontas Coal knew no equal. Mining consultant Doug Crickmer.
Pocahontas Coal is the most valuable, low volatile metallurgical coal, not only in the United States, but in the world.
By the turn of the century, Pocahontas was the only American coal endorsed for naval use by Germany, Great Britain, and the United States. It was used widely in homes because of its heat value and smokeless quality, and considered the world's finest coal for making steel. The first mine operators faced a difficult task. They had to build whole towns, providing housing, food and supplies, health care, worship and recreation. And they had to build a labor force, mostly blacks from the South or immigrants recruited on the docks at Ellis Island.
Well, my grandfather came from Czechoslovakia in about 1902, and my father...
Engineer Mike Hornick of Gary.
The original family name was Hornyak, H-O-R-N-Y-A-K, but the name was a little bit difficult to pronounce, so the payroll clerk changed it to Hornick, H-O-R-N-I-C-K.
School principal Ray Williams.
Well, my father was a coal mining preacher. He worked in the coal mines through the week, and he preached on Sunday.
Rose Marino's father left Italy to avoid the draft. She's written a history of Welch.
They brought in a great number of people to work in the coal camps, but they also had to bring in people to do other things. And we always said that the Italians came in to hold the town together. They built all of the walls, they built the streets, the roads, the beautiful courthouse, the stone structures.
They came from Hungary and Poland, from the British Isles, from Greece. The New York Times called Welch the little New York of West Virginia, a melting pot of peoples. Some have criticized coal towns, the housing, the company store, other aspects of life, but there's another side to the story.
The place offered a hope to people who came out of somewhat a time of despair, sharecroppers, etc., coming to the area, and it offered a certain type of freedom that the people hadn't had, because most of them that came here came from extreme southern areas where attitudes were quite different.
Like Ray Williams, Doug Crickmer grew up in a coal town. Both of them defend the company store.
Critics of the company store, for the most part, the ones that I have known, never had any experience with it. If you lived in a coal camp, there was no other place to go where you could buy clothing and furniture on time. You could buy sporting equipment, shotguns, pistols, complete bedroom, living room furniture, kitchen stoves, anything you needed to set up housekeeping.
During the Depression time, the Gary people were fairly well taken care of by the company. They didn't have to worry about where the next meal was coming from, because the company store would give them credit. And on holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas, they would give turkeys and all of that sort of thing.
But for some, the store was not a blessing.
A lot of people were victimized by company stores, because if you didn't keep up with your money, there was a lot of room for people to take advantage of you.
Company houses were look-alikes built on the same plan. And since housing was scarce, those with homes often took in boarders.
Feed them, pack their lunch, wash their clothes. She baked bread every day for the boarders.
She cleaned their rooms, she fixed their meals, and she provided a shoulder for them to cry on, which they quite often did because they were far away from home, and many of them had left families in Italy.
Social life and recreation were centered on the church, the tavern, the movie theater, the town band, and the Sunday afternoon baseball game pitting one camp against another. The kids made do with what they had.
We didn't have a lot of the things that children have now, but we improvised a lot. We played games in the street with homemade footballs, and we used milk cans or things like that for a football. And we would have some good games with those cans, too.
In the mines, the work was hard.
When my grandfather was active in mining, it was all manual labor. There were no electric cutting machines. The coal had to be undercut by the miner, laying on his side and with a pick. Then the drill holes were by hand, and the powder was loaded into the holes and then shot down and the coal loaded up. He called that a cut. And normally, one cut a day was just about all a miner could do. All the haulage was by mules.
Mules have been kept in the mine for long periods of time, and being that we did keep them there, we had to take feed and had to water the mules. This is a mine mule drinking fountain. This is a fountain that's used in the stables. Now the mule was come up this fountain, and he'd press his nostrils down against, or nose down against the fountain, and fill this bowl up with water where he can drink.
Other animals were less useful. Oxen work in pairs and got tangled in the tracks, and dogs tended to lie down on the job. An outsider passing through the Pocahontas coal field is struck by the number of churches and wonders about the influence of religion on those who work underground. Tom Turnmeyer is a miner.
I'd say when every man leaves the surface on his journey underground, I'd say it's sometime during the trip he says a prayer.
And the number of those that worked underground would sing while they were working, sing religious songs and that, and some of them even prayed, you know, while they were working.
Working, Lord, come by here. Someone singing, Lord, come by here. Oh, Lord, come by here.
Over the years, some things have changed. Women worked at the mines as early as 1942. And today's miners face old dangers with new tools.
The type of people we have working in coal mine today are not like the old coal miners. These are highly technical people that we have. They are people that have to understand hydraulics, electrical, mechanical, and they're working on the equipment that sells for maybe $500,000 for a unit.
Two things have not changed. One is the dirt.
A lot of people don't like the dirt and the dust when you got to clean up after the shift's over with, but that doesn't bother me.
Dirt and danger.
Well, we accept mining as a dangerous and hazardous occupation. Each man knows that it is very dangerous, and that way we try to improve our skills to challenge that danger. We know that it's a hazardous occupation. We just wouldn't do nothing else. We're coal miners.
Through good times and bad, the people of Pocahontas held strong attitudes about their place. The Welch Daily News serves the heart of the coal field. Its publisher, David Corcoran, is a newcomer by most folks' standards with an outsider's perspective.
I've lived in several other areas of Appalachia, and this area is unlike any others that I've ever been in. And I am, you know, constantly amazed with the fact that it doesn't make any difference whether you are the president of a company or just a miner. You are accepted in all of the churches and all of the social organizations. Your children are treated very fairly at the schools, and this is a definite plus.
Well, the people are some of the finest people in the world. They're friendly people. They're willing to help in any kind of crisis.
Even if you don't know them, they still, it seems like they care. No matter what your problem is, they'll try and help you.
Honest, hard-working people, church-going people, good community people.
I think it's great. This whole area is just unique.
They love the people and the place.
We have excellent hunting. We have trout streams that are stocked by the state. We're not pushed with all the crime and drugs of the city. I really enjoy West Virginia. My family's close here. My wife's family's close here. And I just wouldn't consider leaving southern West Virginia.
Some have left, and some are concerned about the health of Pocahontas coal.
We've lost the home heating market to gas and oil. We've lost the transportation market to oil. What's left is the metallurgical market. And that has shrunk very much. And unless there is some new market, in my opinion, that is developed for this coal, I see the future for this Pocahontas coal field is very dim, very bleak.
Doug Crickmer acknowledges the problem, calls for improved productivity, and feels the situation will improve.
There is more Pocahontas coal remaining today than has been mined in the last 100 years. And it is for this reason that we will see mining in Pocahontas coal for many, many years to come.
Coal is going to be the #1 source of energy, but it's going to take at least 10 years to put us out front.
Some seek new industry to lessen the area's dependence on coal.
When coal is booming, then everybody is making a good living. All the way from the coal companies to the miners to the merchants on Main Street. But when the coin is flipped over, we have the bus cycle. And when the mines aren't operating, then everybody's out.
Corcoran urges companies and unions to work closely with government and civic groups.
And through a concerted effort, we can move forward in order to make this a better place to live and also to attract new industry.
The story of Pocahontas is still unfolding as a proud people strive for the future, building on the rich heritage of the past.